Full disclosure time. This is actually my first time seeing this. I think we've all got movies that at some point in life we have to admit that we didn't see them or haven't seen them yet, and it feels like the world has seen it, or as a movie critic we were supposed to see it, or whatever. And this is one of them. But now the shame can end, because I can say that I have made it through this. And yeah, so hi, I'm Mac from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and this is a review of Top Gun. Yep, yeah, it's the first one, the original, the good old Tony Scott, Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, Anthony Edwards, Maverick, Goose, Iceman. This is it. Don Simpson was still alive back then, producing stuff with Jerry Bruckheimer. He wasn't just by himself. So, yeah, it's got audio descriptions, so I was able to watch it. For those of you new to my channel, I'm a blind film critic, so I'm not going to be able to talk about how cool the jets flew in the sky and looked and when they were doing their tricks or anything like that. But it's a Jerry Bruckheimer movie, and I've seen Jerry Bruckheimer movies before, so I can kind of get a vibe for it from what I was able to see. Yeah, so I learned things. Like, I've always heard about Top Gun, right? And Danger Zone, I mean, that's such an iconic song. And when I heard it played in Top Gun, I was just like, oh, it's Danger Zone, it's happening. Fly into the danger zone. I was like, oh man, that is an epic moment. And I didn't know that Top Gun was a school. I'm gonna be totally honest. And so I did not know what Top Gun meant. Sometimes titles don't always mean things. They're just titles. So I just thought it was something, I didn't realize that that's what they called this school that the guys go to learn how to become fighter pilots. But that's what Top Gun is. By the way, this film is ancient, so I don't always feel the need to protect spoilers on a film that is this old. This film is only slightly younger than I am. So if you're looking at me as a person and you're like, wow, look how old he is, and there's a film that's only a few years younger than me, and you haven't seen it, it's allowed to be spoiled in a review. Like, we've passed the point of needing to hashtag spoiler review things. So, yeah. This film would have like a PhD, and would be out working in the out in the wild now. I don't know. Anyway, Maverick, Tom Cruise's Maverick, obviously just felt like every Tom Cruise character he's played since. But he's great at playing those characters, that cocky sort of brash, likable, funny, just everything. And it was interesting to see Anthony Edwards, because I'm less familiar with him as an actor. Most of what I know of him as an actor is derived from his performance in ER. So I always sort of think of him as like being a nerdy doctor, and to see him sort of in an action film I thought was really interesting. I was like, oh, he was in an action film once? I know he's second fiddle to Tom Cruise. He's Tom Cruise's like sidekick, but still, I did not expect to see him in this genre and such in such a believable way. And of course, Val Kilmer in his iconic Iceman role, which I don't think, sadly, he's reprising in Top Gun Maverick. So it'll be interesting to see what the sequel's about. Now that I know that it's a school and he's a teacher, and obviously I'm sure Miles Teller and the rest of the guys are the new versions of him. and he's teaching them. And he probably is going to see a lot of himself in Miles Teller. I'm guessing that's where the sequel's going to go. This was fun. I totally understand why this was a big hit and why it was a classic. I didn't even feel like when you remember that it's 80s and you just embrace the fact that something is 80s, and so like the music and the sounds and the everything like just feels 80s, and you're okay with that, and you're just not going to bash a film simply because it was made in the 80s and feels 80s and sounds 80s, because it can be good. I mean, there are plenty of good films that came out of the 80s. It is quintessentially 80s. I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. I didn't have a problem with it. It's as long as it's good, and I thought this was good. I don't know why I spent so long not watching it. I really don't. I don't have a good excuse. I don't know. Maybe I always just saw the poster and just didn't understand, and I don't think I ever really quite grasped what Top Gun was or how awesome it could possibly be. But I thought this was a lot of fun. Yeah. I don't know that there's really much else to say about it. I feel like I'm just going in circles, but it's just sort of a lot of training sequences and Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise, and Kelly McGillis coming in it, and that sort of interesting dynamic between their characters where she's the teacher and he's the student. And, of course, 2022, we don't have plot lines like that anymore because we stopped doing stuff like that, where, we romanticize about stuff where the power dynamic is not even. So, obviously that would not have been able to fly if it was made nowadays. So I'm sure there's no female fighter pilot that Tom Cruise will be dating in the sequel to replicate that plot in reverse. It's fun. Yeah, it's a fun film. I miss Tony Scott. He was such a great director, and he works so well with Bruckheimer and Simpson, and it's just like a highlight on his career. It's a shame that he's not around anymore to continue to make great work like this. I'm sure Top Gun Maverick would have been an amazing film if he had been a part of it. I think that was originally the plan, and why it took so long for Top Gun Maverick to come out was got pushed back after his passing. So the audio description in this was really pretty good. I thought I recognized the narrator, and then I turned out I didn't. So, and I didn't even know the company. So don't get too excited about it. It was fine because all it really had to do was track a limited amount of characters. This is not really an ensemble film, even though it tries to be. There are a lot of really sort of super minor characters that don't really matter, so they only pop up every once in a while, and you don't really need to track them that much. There's really only about 5 or 6 characters that have a substantial contribution to the storyline, and it's pretty easy to follow them. The fight sequences are all described really well. The tension, everything worked out. I followed everything. I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I loved all of the details, like the repetitiveness, the running joke of Maverick always flies past the tower with the guy who, for some reason, every time he just refills his coffee. There's no way Tom Cruise would know that. You know what I'm saying? There's no way Maverick knows that this dude just filled his coffee. It's one of those like kind of stupid movie tricks because it doesn't make any sense, but it's still hilarious. So they do it anyway. But we all know that like logistically, there's no way he would know that he would have the perfect timing of, he's refilling his coffee, so I'm gonna do a flyby. It's just not a thing. So, but it's entertaining, so we do it anyway. And of course, the romance scenes with the heavy heavy 80s music. It reminded me so much of even what Michael Bay does, like with the first Transformers film with Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox. It reminded me a lot of sort of that scene when Megan is first looking at the car, and Shia is just sort of talking to her. That's kind of a little bit of how it reminded me. It's funny how much, even though they're different directors, how much I think Jerry Bruckheimer really is involved in the overall aesthetic of his films. So it's a great film. If you haven't seen Top Gun, I can't shame you, because I've gone my whole life until now without seeing it. So this is a first review. This is not a second look. This is actually my first time watching Top Gun. And I was obviously doing it because Top Gun Maverick is coming out and I wanted to be ready for that. So, yeah, it's time to grade it. I don't have any problems with it. I thought it was great. I thought it was terrific. I thought it hit all the right beats. This is obviously a classic, and classics deserve to be treated like classics. I'm going to give Top Gun an A. That was pretty easy. I feel silly for not having seen it. I'm glad I have. I recommend it to anybody who, for whatever reason, was sitting there going, Top Gun, it's overrated. It's actually really fun. And it's, there's a reason why everybody keeps talking about it. Why it has actually stood the test of time, because a lot of action films don't, because the special effects end up not looking great after a certain period of time, so people kind of give up on them. It's a rare action film that is actually good enough that people keep talking about it. I mean, if you think about something like The Towering Inferno, which is considered to be a classic, you don't hear people running around talking about The Towering Inferno all the time, trying to get you to watch it. But Top Gun has a lot of fans. Same thing, could be said about Airport. A bunch of those disaster movies from the 70s, they've kind of petered out. So now we're looking at films from the 80s and we're trying to see what is staying in. Like, what is so good that it can't be dropped? What is like Alien? What's like Star Wars? What's like Raiders of the Lost Ark? And some of those movies that came out in the 70s, early 80s, Jaws, and Top Gun is staying. It has staying power for a reason. So, check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, like and subscribe. Tell all your friends. I want to spread the word. Definitely tell other blind people that there's somebody out there talking about audio description and trying to bring more attention to films with audio description. And get the word out. So you can check out the audio description project for all of your audio description needs. And I got more reviews at macthemovieguy.com. So I will see you when Top Gun Maverick comes out. If you want to check out my Maverick review, until then, I'll probably be doing some other reviews, but